So in this video, now that we know the importance of why we should niche, I'm actually going to demonstrate to you how I think you should pick a niche. So when it comes to actually picking the niche that you're going to work in, it's impossible to find the perfect answer. There isn't a right or a wrong. Every single niche that you probably decide on, there's going to be 1,000 reasons why it'd be great. There will also be 1,000 reasons why it wouldn't be good. All that we can do, what I've tried to do for you here, is kind of create a framework of boxes that I think should be ticked. And the most important box that should be ticked is this fundamental rule. When it comes to picking a niche, if you want it to be successful, you want a really straightforward path to making lots of money with marketing, you need to be selling things which people need, not what people want. I'll give you some examples, okay? So if you were running in the weddings niche, okay, people need a wedding photographer. They don't just want some photos. They need a wedding photographer to capture the memories. Another example would be if your niche was dentistry and you want to be solving a problem for people that have got really wonky teeth. That person needs to straighten their teeth, otherwise they're going to be in significant pain or they're going to be feeling really bad about themselves all of the time. That's so much easier to sell than if you were to pick whitening within the same niche just because that person wants slightly whiter teeth. Another good example is someone's already agreed to buy a car, but they can't afford it, so they need car finance. Again, such an easier sell than getting someone to just register their interest in a nice car. So framing it for the need instead of the want is a great way of how you can set your campaigns up for success and make your job way easier. Because when there's a real need for something, that creates urgency and that drives people to take action. Even if they don't have the budget, they will find a way to get it because they absolutely need it. And that's just that's the biggest cheat code if you want it to make your ads perform far better. So the type of ads that I'm going to be teaching you throughout this course are meta ads, where you run ads across Facebook and Instagram. This is a form of disruption marketing. Disruption marketing is when you show people ads when they're not proactively looking to find your service. Perhaps they're just procrastinating on Instagram, or maybe they're interacting with other pieces of content which have the same interest of the service that you're trying to push. So because of the nature of how that person would find you and you just popping up, you want to pick a niche that ideally has also these 3 other characteristics associated to it. It might be difficult to find a niche that has all 3, but you want to try and tick as many of these as possible, as we mentioned. So the first one is try and pick a niche where it's something that people typically wouldn't search on Google. That could be quite difficult, yeah, because obviously most things people would look for, but you're talking about stuff like consulting or like a real niche type of marketing. It's not something that someone's first thought would be to go on Google. Maybe these people don't know that it exists. So that would be a good niche. The second thing is you would use it for when a client's offer is so strong that it would even stand out if you put it on Google. So I'll give you an example. You could have someone that does people's house extensions, okay? Most people know if they need a house extension, they can go on Google, they can find people that do the house extension in that local area. An example of when you use an Instagram ad to push that would be if that builder had a 30% early bird discount sale of people that are for early bookings for next year. So because I wouldn't be able to see that on Google very well, I should run that on Facebook and Instagram because that would give these people a reason to inquire with him because he would stand out. And then the last one is you want to be pushing services that start with an inquiry because you want there to be baby steps to get someone to go from making an inquiry to then trying to get them to buy immediately is very difficult because that's quite a massive jump. That's a big step. You'd be better off saying, if you want to get a free consultation call with someone, that's just an easy next step. So staging it in this way, it makes it much, much easier for you to get results. And this is exactly why lead generation marketing is so much easier to win at than e-com marketing. Because with an e-com ad, you're essentially saying, hey, this is what we're selling. Click here if you want to buy it. That can feel like a massive jump to someone. With what we're doing, we're saying, hey, here's what we're selling. If you're interested, sign up here for that free consultation, that free discovery call. And it's no pressure. It's just the next baby step. And this is how you sell these high ticket expensive things because that person needs to be nurtured. And the time when they're on the phone with an expert, they feel like they're making an educated decision. And that's how we're going to install that trust in people to buy the expensive stuff. Let's use something expensive as an example. So if I'm thinking about getting my whole smile redesigned, I'm not just going to see an advert, click on it, and pay $5,000. What I'm going to want to do, I'm going to want to speak to someone that I view as an expert, as a trusted individual, before I then book. And that's what we're selling for our clients. So make sure you are picking a niche where they must take a consultation call before they buy. So the next thing on our niche checklist is we need to be making sure that we're pushing services that are high ticket and have high margins. So what high ticket means is the service is pretty expensive. It costs a lot of money for people to get it. And what high margin means is that there are minimal expenses and costs associated to actually delivering it. And the reason we want to be doing this is the more expensive the product, typically, the larger the profit margins are. And because that person can make so much money by selling something, they're more open to accepting the fact that, yes, I'm probably going to have to spend money on marketing to get someone to buy this because I'm going to make so much money from it. And typically, the products and services that have the biggest profit margins, they're the ones with the lowest overheads. And the way that you get the lowest overheads are typically service businesses, which results in someone having to just trade their time in order to generate the cash instead of having to trade their materials and everything that they pre-bought. So it's super important that we're focusing on the businesses that have got these high profit margins, because we're going to be eating into their profit margins in order to successfully run ads. So what I've demonstrated here is how you could run 2 successful ad campaigns, but because one product is high ticket, meaning they got a lot of money to play with, another one is low ticket, even though both campaigns would be successful, only one of them is going to be able to run profitably. So this is an ad spend safety net. So we could have a wedding photographer who's charging £3,000 for a booking. So that guy might spend £1,000 on ads, and he can still be in profit very, very easily, because if he spent £1,000 running ads and he's getting a lead every time he spends £20, that means he would generate 50 leads if he spent all that £1,000. He would just need to convert one person in 50 people, which is pretty likely. And, if he's a professional, he will be doing that. If he was just to convert one in 50 people, then he would have made a 3x return, because it cost him £1,000 to speak to 50 people. And if he just sold to one, he sells his product for £3,000. Now, we could take another successful campaign to someone who is a lip filler aesthetics practitioner, and they're charging someone £200 to do their lip filler. But the problem with them charging £200 to do lip filler is because the lip filler itself costs £100. And so if they've only got £100 left as a profit margin left, we're running ads, we're getting a lead for £20. Now that person, just to even break even, has to convert 1 in 5 leads into a sale, which, it's extremely unlikely people do that, because the majority of leads that come in aren't good. You need to do so much volume and talking to the leads that it would be unreasonable that you wouldn't be successful. And 1 in 5 is like a 20% conversion rate, which most people don't do. So they would almost need to convert every single lead to be in profit, which is exactly why you need to go with a high ticket option. High ticket means they've got more money to play with, which means our ads don't need to perform as well, and it's still very likely that they'll be able to make a lot of money. So on top of it being very expensive and need to have good margins, you also need to be picking a niche that is cash flow positive. You need to be picking a niche where that client gets paid before, ideally, or pretty soon after they deliver their services. If it's going to take your clients months to see a return, they're obviously going to struggle to afford your fees, which is going to cause your clients to churn. And even though it might be that you're doing a great job, that's an inefficient way of working, because the only way you're going to be able to create real profits here is if you're bringing on new clients all the time and your existing ones are staying. That is how you grow a marketing agency. And I encountered this exact problem. I picked a niche of doing first-time buyers. So I was like, right, these people, they're going to buy a house. Surely if that person just gets a cheaper rate off one of my mortgage brokers, they're definitely going to go ahead and do it. And it was working, and it worked successful. But what I didn't realize is that it was taking my brokers 3 to 4 months once that lead is confirmed, which in itself takes a bit of nurturing as well. 3 to 4 months for them to even get a payout. So even though they acknowledged that my campaign was going good, it was becoming too expensive for them to run, and ultimately they churned. And that was costing me out of my pocket and cost our business growing. If they would have got paid up front, or at least a bit of their fee, or within a week, then I probably would still have these clients to this day. But that's my fault for not picking a niche which is cash flow positive. A book that is absolutely worth your time around the topic of niching is a book called The Blue Ocean Strategy. Like I said at the start of this course, just doing these videos is the absolute bare minimum. Those of you that are going to be successful, you need to be doing external readings on top of the stuff that I'm telling you. This is a book that you should definitely read. Blue Ocean Strategy pretty much means you're more likely to be successful if you try and compete in a marketplace that there's not a lot of options. Because if you go into a marketplace where there's loads of options, then there's a lot of pressure to have the best offer, be the best option, and it makes it difficult to win clients. And ultimately, it's just about, you need to go super niche because that's where the real opportunities lie. I'm not talking about a niche like, oh, I work with dentists, I work with PTs. No, you're going to have to find a niche within a niche. So you're almost double niching. And you want to avoid competing in a red ocean. A red ocean means a marketplace where there's lots of competitors. As a byproduct of this, it makes it really difficult to stand out, as you can imagine, because there's loads of people doing it. And you're going to have to just go above and beyond. You're going to have to give more. You're going to have to make it cheaper so people want to come with you. It's just so much harder to win business. The key, and what our entire book is about, is you need to be competing in blue oceans. Blue oceans are oceans where a marketplace is where there's not a lot of competition. This means, obviously, it's easier to win clients because there's not many people doing it. And you can have real, simple, straightforward offers, and they can still work really well. So the deeper you're probably going to niche what you're doing, the easier you're probably going to find it to succeed. I spent a lot of time thinking about what is the best way to find a blue ocean, and these are kind of my main tips. Unfortunately, the more unsexy the niche, the more likely it is that you're probably going to succeed, and the more likely it is that you're going to find a blue ocean. Because the reason it's a blue ocean is because not a lot of people want to do it. The richest guy I know, yeah, he does business recycling. I'm telling you right now, he didn't, as a kid at 10 years old, say, I know what I want to do. I know what will get all the girls. I'll do business recycling. No, he's doing it because he can make a lot of money. And don't feel pressured to pick a niche that you're passionate about. You can be passionate about the things that the money from these guys allows you to do, okay? The boring industries are usually the most profitable ones. The cool niches, yeah, everybody's got the idea and the dream of wanting to work with those. They become often very crowded, and it makes it harder to work because it's a red ocean. So these cool niches, they often just force you to make crazy guarantees or make offers that would insinuate that you're desperate just to close a sale. So don't be afraid to go boring and unsexy, because it's often the most stable and consistent and scalable. So I want to use a case study of a guy that used to live in the building that I used to live in. This guy is a personal trainer called Julius Murphy. And I know loads of you are probably just checking him out at the top there and seeing this guy's got 2.4 million Instagram followers. And trust me, when I first became aware of this guy, he just had a couple of hundred. What he has done is absolutely amazing. And it's the best case study of how to navigate a blue ocean. Julius Murphy, when he first started, he's just your typical personal trainer. He's probably earning around 25 grand a year. I don't know that, but that's like the average. And these guys absolutely grind out. It's a very physical job. They got to do crazy long hours in the evening. It stops you in loads of other ways. It's not very desirable. And essentially what that guy was doing, he was competing in red ocean, right? Because his niche was, hey, if anyone wants to get fit, come and hire me out. Come down to the local Pure Gym. You can pay me for an hour of my life. And that's going to keep you stuck in that same cycle, because he's got no leverage. He's got no way of scaling. When he runs out of hours, when he's absolutely exhausted, he can't make more money. It just leads to doing endless sessions that he probably doesn't want to do, and leads to mad burnout. So before I explain this, let's watch a little bit of what this guy does now. I'll let you watch that in your own time before I start dancing, okay? This guy's created such a good blue ocean, okay? Julius ventured into a blue ocean niche because instead of just targeting anyone that wants to come in, probably wanted to work with the busy entrepreneur guys that want to get jacked, he goes, actually, I'm going to start targeting the overweight parents, primarily age 35 plus, mainly mums who absolutely hate working out or can't afford to go to the gym or don't have any time to work out because they're with the kids. What PTs start out and say that they want to do that? Not many, which is why he created that blue ocean. And because he created a unique solution, he created his business called Stepperton, which is literally a fun dance step workout that can literally be done at home. And his whole thing now I remember was just do a song a day. You know, it ticks the boxes of you know, that really unsexy audience. And his niche was completely underserved because none of these cool PTs thought, oh, that's something that would be good for their branding. And as a byproduct of it, there was no competition, but absolutely huge demand. And because he went from stopping all of these weights and selling his time for money, he was able to essentially grow to over 2 million followers on Instagram. He's created a multi-six-figure online business selling digital products. He is selling his videos, or I don't know what they are. They're like these online course things, of him showing you how to do these workouts from home. And that allowed him to stop trading his time for money. He's now selling his digital product for money, selling his expertise, and it's got him this deal with Nike, and he's been extremely successful. So great example there of picking the unsexy thing, and you know, he's took it to crazy levels. So hats off. Okay, so just wrapping up the video, I've got for you a niche checklist. Okay, when you're picking a niche, you should tick the boxes of all of these things. Number one, that person needs to have the service, not just want it. Number two, you got to be trying to scale a high ticket offer that's got good profit margins. Number three, they got to have low overheads. Ideally, it needs to be something where that person is trading their time or their expertise. You don't want to be getting involved with stuff where, you know, they're selling something and it costs them £500 to sell the thing in the first place. Number four, cash flow positive. That client needs to get paid quickly, ideally before. Number five, it needs to be in a blue ocean. They need to have low competition and preferably a really unsexy niche where there's clear differentiation of why that person will want to work with them. Number six, easy to systemize and outsource. It needs to be built with this copy and paste model in mind. So the second we've got enough clients, you can outsource fulfillment to someone that isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg to hire, that can be unskilled, and they can get your clients results because we built the process so well. Number seven, it needs to work well with meta ads, which pretty much means they need to make sales from people inquiring and consultation based. And then the last one is make sure your clients can afford your ongoing marketing fees. Don't be selling to people that don't have money, because if you can convince someone to take a punt on you for a month or 2 months, but if you're churning people every couple of months, it's going to be impossible for the business to be as profitable as it can be, and for you to live the life that you want to make as much money as we can. So hopefully that video helps. Don't move on past this video until you got your niche clear.